Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the Blind Spot Project, where we get to talk about a movie that we haven't seen. And it could be a classic, it could be something more contemporary. It's just something we haven't seen that has some kind of following or reputation or whatever. And it's just fun to get to do. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner. Amanda's here.
Hi, so good to be back for this one.
And this one I was really looking forward to because I have been championing. I feel like I have been championing Far From the Maddening Crowd since it came out in 2015, and everybody keeps saying, "Oh well, 1967 is better." So I was like, "Well, finally, I need to watch it and see for myself." And so that's technically the blind spot for this month was the 19th for me was the 1967 version of Far From the Maddening Crowd.
Mhm.
Of course, based on the Thomas Hardy novel. So yeah, it's gonna be fun to talk about. And you hadn't seen either of these, correct?
I haven't seen either. I was fortunate enough to find the 2015 one on Disney Plus, so I like jumped on that and I'm like, I have to watch it. So I did
Yeah.
watch that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Well, I'll tell you more about the 1967 one, and I think that like I think that both of these movies are good movies. They're both very well made. They're both very well done. And when it comes down to it, like the core story is just a good story. And so
Mhm.
it's kind of hard to get wrong, but I really do think that 2015 is the better version of the story for a lot of reasons. And so I'm excited to talk to you about it.
Yeah,
but
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, so the basic story is about Bathsheba Everdeen, who is a young woman in like turn of the century. The when is it exactly? Victorian era. So yeah, it's like the 1860s. So it's about this woman, Bathsheba Everdeen, who is in it's the 1860s Victorian England, and she basically runs her own farm herself. She's an independent woman. She's a free spirit for the time, and it's kind of about her various sort of romantic experiences that she has. And the 1967 film was directed by John Schlesinger, and it stars Julie Christie, Terrence Stamp, and Alan Bates as our leads.
Mhm.
And the 2015 film was directed by Thomas Vinterberg, and it stars Carey Mulligan and Matthias Schoenaerts and Michael Sheen in our leads. And uh, there's a lot of interesting things that are different between the 1967 and 2015 film. And so you haven't seen 1967, right?
I haven't seen 1967. I
Okay.
couldn't get a chance to watch that one, but the 2015 I did watch.
Okay. Well, real quick, I'll just go over some of the differences.
Yeah.
The biggest difference between 1967 and 2015 is that the 1967 film is an hour longer.
I saw
And
that runtime.
yeah.
I was like,
and
why is it an hour shorter?
yeah,
What did they
I
do?
don't think it earns that extra hour. There, I can see the argument that 2015 does like it is maybe a tiny bit rushed. It does go through all these plot points, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So I can understand that. And there's little things that are included in 1967 that aren't included in 2015. For instance, Troy, when he fakes drowning, he goes off and joins a circus troupe. And in the 1967, it spends all this time like with him because what's interesting is that really in the 1967 film, Troy is kind of your hero of the story. He's kind of like an anti-hero. Like he's still a
Yeah.
scoundrel and we still don't like him, but he's definitely the focus of the story, and Gabriel is kind of an afterthought in the 1967 film, which I can see why
Mhm.
some people would like because it is a little bit more like complex of a narrative of having this more unlikable lead. I can understand why some people might enjoy that, but I'm a romantic at heart. And so of course I like the more romantic plot line. Are you a fan of Rachel's reviews? Do you look forward to Family Movie Night, Female Film Critics panels, or the Talking Disney podcast? If so, please consider supporting the podcast by becoming a Patreon. As a patron, you get to access monthly events such as the watch-alongs and Q&As, where you get to talk to stars and find out the behind the scenes of the movie making industry. And you can pick what I review for Family Movie Night or even become a guest on the podcast. Podcasts and YouTube channels are expensive, and I really, really could use your help. I would so appreciate it. You also get to be a member of the Facebook group where we talk about all the films that we're seeing, and we have so much fun. Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies and select one of the Rachel's fan tiers. That's patreon.com/hallmarkies. Yeah, they spend a lot more of like sort of the focus on Troy and it's his kind of journey. And you're supposed to, I think, buy that he's more in love with Fanny in 1967 than he is in 2015. When she snubs him at the wedding, he's super offended, and he kind of casts her off, but then he sort of realized, oh, this was actually my true love. This was my mistake and everything like that.
Yeah.
And you don't really get that feeling very much in 2015.
Yeah, I think I like that change though, because I really did think Tom Sturridge did a great job. We talked about this in our chat. And I think that Tom Sturridge did a great job with it. He felt rushed, but there wasn't enough development in his case. So obviously in the original version, you do get more of him. And then I think what happens with I can't pronounce her name.
Bathsheba. Yeah.
Bathsheba, sorry. Bathsheba, I think what ends up happening with the two of them in the 2015, it causes that like conflict. And I liked that dynamic. I thought that was a really good moment in that case for her to realize what, her connection with Gabriel as well. So I thought that there was really, it made more sense in 2015 to kind of have him in the shadows and then have him as like this kind of like front runner, because you made someone as likable as Gabriel. It's really hard to not like him and root for them just because they were the center point from the very beginning. So I kind of like that they kept both the other two suitors in the shadows more so.
Yeah. Well, so, and then in Gabriel and Bathsheba in 1967 do get married at the end, but it's kind of a marriage of convenience. It's certainly not passionate like our 2015. And I just thought they had such a connection and such incredible chemistry between Pius Schoenaerts and Carey Mulligan. I just
so good.
Love them so much. And there were so many like little moments throughout the narrative of him like being there for her and loving her unconditionally. And even when she's making all these bad choices and he's like tearing him up inside as he's just watching. And it was, I just thought so romantic.
It's so cute to have. He is like, it's so cute to have a man just be like your ride or die no matter what you do. And then he even like when she even asked for his advice, and it's like, no, actually don't tell me, but also like tell me. It was just really cute because they understood each other. And I think that's what was really important because she still wanted to be like an independent woman. And I think that he is the only one that truly understood what she wanted in life. And I think that's why they kept going back to each other. More importantly, why she kept going back to him, because he never forced anything on her. So that's what I really liked about that.
Well, and I also think that Bathsheba really works as a character because she is a flawed person. She's not a girl boss. She makes mistakes. She sends that Valentine she should not have done, which was mean. She's not perfect, and I think that makes her very endearing. And I just wish that more female characters were as carefully written as she is in this movie.
It's like a well-rounded person. Like women are allowed to make mistakes and act on, their emotions and then recognize that, and I think that even though she went with like 3 different suitors, like it's very realistic in a way
Hmm.
to just get a feel of what she wanted. And I think that was also important to showcase in 2015. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, so one of the most devastating sequences in both versions is when the sheep is the sheep at the beginning. Oh my gosh.
I don't like it. I was shocked. I was like, no, what do you mean this is happening? I was so sad. Like, how dare they?
So
How
if
dare
people
they
haven't
write
seen
that?
the movie, they he has an unruly dog that lets all of the sheep out of the pen and literally leads them off of the cliff. And then you
It's
see down in that all the sheep dead. Oh, oh, it's brutal.
it's so bad.
Oh,
It's so bad. I'm like, doggo, what are you doing? The dog is not
yeah.
supposed to be doing that. She's supposed to band together with the animals, and clearly he did not care for whatever reason.
Uh-huh.
Don't
Yeah,
get it.
I also think that in both versions the fire scene is very effective, and you
I
get to
agree.
see really Gabriel and his uh what a strong person he is, what a good leader he is, and and you just I just was so impressed with both of these films of just what like the scope and what they were able to do on like not that big of a budget. Like I mean that
Yeah.
these it can't have been easy to film these fire scenes.
No, especially back then versus now. I think it
Mm-hmm.
was just, it'd be very different. And you're right, it did make an impact, I think, even just with the characters and like grounding them in the reality of the situation too. Um, but yeah, I thought those were really, really important scenes for the characters. I
And
agree.
I love the cinematography in 2015. I think it is
My
super
God,
underappreciated. It's Charlotte Bruce Christensen, and she
gorgeous.
knows how to shoot this like really swoon-worthy, romantic, sweeping, beautiful, beautiful
So pretty.
cinematography throughout this whole thing.
I think it mainly, like for me, it was the close-ups of the longing. I think that's what really
Mm-hmm.
gets me. Like even obviously the countryside's absolutely gorgeous and when like they shot that beautifully. But I think you fall in love with like the area, the time period. I think she did a really good job with atmosphere. And then between the characters, I think the close-ups, there were more close-ups on Gabriel and Basabat. I can never say it.
Yeah.
Anyways, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but like
Yeah.
Shiva,
But the
like
way
Shiva,
the camera was
I
moving, it just
love
was
that.
so
Yes.
romantic.
It's so fluid and slow. Like you're really
Oh,
taking the time to like set their relationship, and I really liked that. So
yeah, she's
I love
awesome.
that
She
stuff.
did the cinematography for this, for Fences, for
Ooh,
yeah, for Quiet Place. She was the first
wow.
original. Yeah, she's
She's
awesome.
very good. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
very good.
yeah.
Yeah,
And she did The Girl
awesome.
on the Train, which wasn't the greatest movie, but it was well shot.
Yeah,
She's very talented. Very, very, very talented. I hope she gets
agreed. Some flowers eventually. So
more work because she's really good. Out to me, of
yeah.
course, both movies, costume wise, production wise, very
So
impressive.
pretty.
Very
Oh yeah.
impressive.
There was that one costume that she wore. She was all black with the red pinstripes in
Oh yeah.
2015. Coming off the carriage, I'm like, girl, I want that outfit so badly. She looked amazing. That was
Yeah.
gorgeous. So
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous.
It was so good. Yeah, I mean, we have the whole story with Fanny going to the wrong church. I mean, it's
Mhm.
hard because especially in 1967 when they're trying to make Troy sort of the focus of the movie, it's hard because I just feel like at that point he's kind of unredeemable. I mean, what the way
Yeah.
that he wouldn't be like, "Oh, sorry honey, you went to the wrong church," that he would be so prideful that just like a moment of embarrassment, he would treat her like this. It's hard. Like yes, I like flawed characters, but it's one thing to send a Valentine and be a little mean. It's another thing to your pregnant fiance to do what he does to her.
Yeah, I didn't like him. He kind of like even like the scenes in like the forest with like the
Mm-hmm.
two of them. I'm like his advances were totally different than the other two. And I think that
Yeah.
that just made it very questionable to the point where I'm like, girl, like, why are you going with him? Like, you know, it's not going to end well. Like, he's a soldier. He's kind of shady. You can tell, like, just the way that he moves, the way they met too, you can kind of tell. So I think that was the point with Fanny. I'm like, wow, I can't believe you just said that to her. And it only takes a couple of moments. And then going back to what we are saying about the original is the fact that like Troy didn't need to have all of that because it's small moments like in 2015 where you kind of get who the character is really quickly.
Yeah.
And it makes an impact on the rest of the story.
Mm-hmm. The cool, crisp days of fall are calling. Fuel up for them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time to go back to school thanks to the menu of chef crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. Head to factormeals.com/hallmarkies50. Use the code hallmarkies50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code hallmarkies50 at factormeals.com/hallmarkies50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate having an unlikable kind of lead character, and it is true to the book. But
Yeah.
but I don't know. I just prefer the humanity of the 2015. I prefer just Gabriel and being like just such a good person. He's so wonderful, but I don't think unrealistically so.
Yeah.
Like most of his responses feel pretty grounded. Like he's not like a perfect person either.
He just cares. Like I think for
Yeah.
me, the one scene where it was they're celebrating the wedding night, and he goes up to them and says, "Listen, there's a storm coming. We have to like get men out there and try to like protect the harvest and all of that." And then no one was listening to him, but he still went out there in the pouring rain and he was like trying to fix everything and do
Yeah.
it. I'm like, that's just genuine care for like the people around him, not only for, you know, for her. So I think that just shows it, like you said, he's a very likable character. It's very genuine. And I think that his performance was my favorite, even though it was just very timid
Yeah.
and like
Sweet.
kind of reserved. Yeah, very sweet man.
Yeah.
Like I really love that. Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes is when she has to apologize to him for the way she treated him and to get him to come and do the procedure on the sheep.
Yes.
He's
I love
left.
that one
He's
too.
going to leave, and she basically has to like kind of beg him, please come help. You're the only one.
It was so
And
cute because he sent the messenger. He's like, tell her that beggars can't be choosers. And I was like, haha,
yeah,
she has to go.
that was
It
good.
was
I
cute.
liked that. That was a good moment for her character because this story could be very like one note girl boss thing,
Yeah.
it's because of the flaws of both of everybody and just it's just so well. I just thought the characters were so well written for
Oh,
everybody involved.
100%.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Again, it adds like a complexity to humans that we
Mm-hmm.
need in these stories, or else, like you said, she could have been like, I don't need no man. I can do this myself. And like basically kill the sheep at that point. Like you don't know
Yeah.
what like she could have done, take it upon herself. But she's like, no, I'm gonna be very like logical here. I can't do it. I have to save. He's the only
Mm-hmm.
one. So that comes over pride at that point in decision making.
Yeah. So how did you feel about Mr. Boldwood, played by Martin Sheen? How'd you feel about that character?
He's just
So
he's
sad.
so sweet. It's such like he's so sweet and it's sad because he's like, I just want a wife. And she's like, no, I don't want to be a wife in a big house and this and this. I want my own estate. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this poor man keeps trying. And it's just
Well,
I also like that he was so respectful at the same time. Because that could have been like that could have gone south so fast. Like he could have just been very aggressive with her. And I think that I they had very their communication is what I enjoyed the most because
yeah.
they talked to each other a lot about what they wanted out of their lives. And I think that's what I enjoyed about their chemistry.
Well, yeah, especially because it starts with her sending this Valentine's. You feel bad for the guy.
Like how
Like,
that whole conversation was
ugh,
so awkward. And she's like, no, no, it wasn't a joke. And I'm like, but it kind of was though. Like
it
you
was
didn't
a
intend
joke.
to, like, why would you do
And
that to him? Yeah.
yeah, so you feel bad for him. He's such a sad sack.
Or I know.
He really is.
Poor Martin Sheen. Justice for Martin Sheen. Justice.
But I feel like they could have made an easy argument for it being self-defense when he shoots Troy because Troy is like kind of attacking her, or at least it could have appeared to be attacking her. So I think, would he really go to prison for that? But he does.
Yeah, it's a
So
weird.
sad.
That is weird. It's a split second decision out of
Yeah.
like, I'm going to defend the girl that I love. Bang. And it's like, well, she doesn't really care about you, buddy. So
Mhm.
you just did that like for no reason. But
Yeah, and the whole scene where he tries to bribe Troy
yeah.
to stay away from Bathsheba, and he says he throws the coins on the ground, says, "Oh, we're already married." Oh, so
It's just
sad.
every conversation with Boldwood is just like devastating. It's so like, oh no, this guy is trying again, and then something worse
Yeah,
happens.
yeah. I'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Harpeth Road Publishing and author Terry Wilson and her new book, Christmas Charms. This is a delightful holiday read that you can get in the Christmas spirit now in September. Ashley James is supposed to be having the Christmas of her dreams. After 4 years of working at an upscale jewelry store in Manhattan, she will finally get a little velvet box of her own, and she knows exactly when her boyfriend Jeremy is taking her on a romantic trip to Paris. What could go wrong? Pretty much everything. A gorgeously festive Christmas story from New York Times bestselling author Terry Wilson. It will have you reaching for the candy canes and sugar drops. You can pick up Christmas Charms wherever you purchase your books online or in person, and you can use the affiliate link below and go to Harpeth Road for more information. That's harpethroad.com. Then they have the wedding feast, and Gabriel's the only one that doesn't get sloshed. He's the only one that kind of keeps his head about it.
Rightfully
And
so.
he sees the storm coming in. He tells Bathsheba that he needs to get like 4 or 5 men to help save the hay and everything. And Troy
Yeah.
won't listen. He doesn't care.
Oh no, he starts singing and
Yeah.
does his thing. That was kind of unsettling, I'm not gonna lie. Because like all the men were singing, like especially like in 2015, they were singing that song and it was kind of vulgar towards the women. And then you just see like all the women get up and like follow like suit and like leave at the same time. And I don't know, I felt like he became the man of the house so quickly that what she wanted for herself and kind of neglected the other two suitors for, like it became her reality, which sucked in
Mm-hmm.
that moment,
Well, and
you know?
really, Troy only cared about like putting on a show,
Yeah,
and
you could tell.
he cares more about the praise of. He says everybody will laugh at me, and this and he doesn't care about. He doesn't really care about Bathsheba. Maybe he cares about Fanny. I don't know. Not much. Not much.
Not really.
Because from the very beginning, he's a very prideful character. That's why he doesn't marry Fanny. That's why he gets engaged to Bathsheba at all.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing with his gambling, which they do make a bigger deal of in the 1967. There's this whole scene where they have an actual cockfight, like with chickens.
Oh wow.
There, yeah, that he loses.
Oh God.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think that would be allowed now.
No, you can't do
But
that now.
no,
You can't.
but yeah, I mean, he is an incredibly prideful character,
He
and
is.
yeah, that it works, I think, better in 2015 because there's such a contrast between Gabriel and Troy. Like
That's the
it
thing.
just, and you do get kind of frustrated, like, how can you not see this? How can you not know? But like that draws you into the story.
And it's like like Troy's so forgettable in a way, like towards
Yeah.
the end of it. It's like, okay, he's like this annoying character. Like Boldwood's not as annoying as Troy at the end of it, if you really look at all three of them, because Troy's like a someone that just continuously comes back and you kind of want to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's why like Gabriel is just a very like slow and steady in the background too. All three of them kind of are in the background. They're not really in her face that much. And I
Yeah.
think that was a really good balance, because then as a viewer, you're able to like assess their characters and see who would be better suited for her. So I think that was really cool to get the audience like engaged at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so Bathsheba, she opens the coffin and realizes what Fanny had a child of, and Troy's child, and that what he did to her, and it's just devastating. And that's when he think that he's drowned himself because of Fanny, and but he hasn't. He's gone off to the circus, and he shows back up. And this is just after Boldwood has said that he will wait 6 years for her, and he gives her a like a promise ring kind of a thing. And then Troy shows up again in the 1967. There's this whole long scene with him performing in the circus troupe and
Wow.
everything, and then there's this party. So they skip that for 2015, and Boldwood shoots Troy, and so that's the end of basically both those characters, because he's hauled off to prison, and Troy is dead, and she feels conflicted about it, because I think you just don't want anybody to just get shot like that, but
It's
but
true.
he is
It's true.
like super manipulative and controlling, and so it's an interesting kind of situation. But then we have Gabriel. He's leaving. He's going to go to America. He tells her. He says, "I promised I would leave you
Oh,
one day."
yeah.
And she's like, "Oh no, no."
Like he can't leave. I have no one here. I don't want to be lonely. And that's
Yeah,
the other thing. It's like, who does she have? He's been with her there the whole time. He's the only good person around her. He obviously didn't kill anybody, right? So on top of
yeah.
that, so
Oh,
it's just kind
and
of
so
perfect.
because yeah, in 1967 version, it's kind of a marriage of convenience. It's like, well, I do like
Yeah,
you. I don't know. It's just not passionate like it is in 2015. But
I
I
like
love
that
this
too.
ending. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Again, beautifully filmed by Charlotte, and the that she says that wasn't I your first sweetheart, and weren't you mine? And he kind of looks like, what? And if
It's
only
so cute.
if you would say, then I would stay if there was some hope. And she says, but you will never ask. You will never know because you won't ask. And he says, would you say no again? She said, probably, but ask Gabriel, ask. Oh, so good.
So
And
cute.
then he kisses her, and it's a happy ending. It's very romantic. And so, when I first saw the movie, I gave it a B+. So I did really
Mm,
enjoy it because I was doing grades at that point on my site. But it has just
yeah,
grown in my estimation over the years. I
it's
I
very
I
good.
I have a 5 stars on Letterboxd now. I just love it. I love the characters. I love the story. Went back and read the novel, Thomas Hardy, and I don't like it as much. It's way more like nuts and bolts about this status of the working man at the time, and what
Yeah.
Bathsheba was up against as a woman and woman farmer. All of that is good, but I just think that Vinterberg in this movie really tapped into like this heart and soul and these two people and this beautiful friends to lovers story. And again,
Yeah.
it's so beautifully made. I thought they have incredible chemistry. They're so good together. I just absolutely love it.
I 100%
Yeah,
agree. Like
it's so good.
I want to watch more like period romances because I love it so much.
Yeah,
So I'm really happy that I got to watch this because I feel like it's under like appreciated and you've been like championing it too. So the more people get to know this movie, I think it is better for everyone because it's just
yeah.
so good.
So if you
Yeah.
haven't seen it, give it a shot. It's a really beautiful movie, and
Oh,
I
good.
think you'll really love it. And then, the 1967 one is still a good movie. So if
It
you,
depends on how you favor run times.
yes,
That's
exactly. So
that's
I mean, I
the
guess I don't recommend it, but I just love 2015. For
yeah.
September, it's going to be very interesting. I always tried to do an animated film for this blind spot, but we're kind of running out of animated films that I haven't seen. So for September, it's a pretty obscure one. It's called The Plague Dogs. And this is, have you ever heard of Watership Down?
Yes, yeah.
So this is by the same team who did Watership Down. But in
Okay.
this case, instead of bunnies, it's about dogs. And
Oh,
so I've never
I'm
seen
on
it.
board.
It's going to be interesting to check out. So that's our blind spot for September. Should be pretty
Yeah,
fun.
I'm excited. I've been like living like doing these with you. I have to admit. Like I had so much fun because it's also letting me like tap into other older films, which I really need to get done because I have so many blind spots. So thanks, Rachel.
Well, thank you for doing this. It's just because I've been doing just the written reviews for so long that it's been great this year having this additional component to talk about with one of my best friends. It's just been really,
Yeah,
really good. And so if
definitely.
people want to follow you, how do they do that?
Yeah, you guys can always follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. You can check out my website, candidxcinema.com, and my YouTube, Candid Cinema.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. And I also put down my review for Far From the Madding Crowd. Both of them, I have two written reviews for 2015 and 1967. So check that out. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. Really appreciate that. And if you are watching YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that so much. Also have the Patreon group, which is the best way you can support the channel. So please take a look. There's some pretty cool perks, and have a merch store. Take a look at that. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.